Donnie Gladfelter, your AUV host, coming to you with Jonathan Knowles, an individual who works very closely with the CEO and CTO of Autodesk, and I'm joined by his virtual presence right now. Jonathan, can you tell me a little bit about what you do at Autodesk and a little bit about who I'm talking to here in terms of the digital presence, I guess?
Certainly, Donnie. As you said, I work very closely with our CEO, Carl Bass, and CTO, Jeff Kowalski, in our corporate strategy and engagement team. We're a team who's focused on researching and distilling trends and ideas on business and technology and design, and we cultivate meaningful conversations around those ideas to help clearly articulate Autodesk's vision and our strategy. One of the ways that I'm involved in doing this is the 90-minute general session that happens each year at Autodesk. Some people might even recognize me. For several years I was one of the speakers along with Carl and Jeff on the stage. I'm coming to you today via a remote presence robot. This is a technology that allows me to engage on a higher level with my colleagues, more so than if I were doing, say, a phone conference. I live about 70 miles away from our San Francisco office, and that can be a significant amount of time in a vehicle and just time out of the day. And also, just as a company that's concerned about being a carbon neutral company, this is a great remote presence technology that allows me to be there, like you said, virtually. I mean, you're the virtual host of AU. I kind of live my life virtually. I'm able to have hallway conversations and attend meetings, and it's amazing how much you can get done when you can look someone in the eye and walk down the hall with them while you're talking.
So you can engage in those often beneficial water cooler conversations and be 70 miles away.
As a matter of fact, we do have two of these robots. We have one on the other side of the building, and it's literally within about 10 feet of the water cooler.
So you mentioned that you have a very good presence with the general session. Are there any secrets you can let us in on?
We have been working diligently, and we start working on general session in January usually is when we start really thinking about what we're going to do. It's significant because general session really is the only time at AU that everyone comes together at the same time. Of course, the logistics of that are we have to have a very big venue to hold everyone. And we have an interesting challenge in that AU is attended by a lot of different types of people. We have architects, we have engineers who might be designing water pumps, people who are designing utility networks, people who are designing the next video games or big Hollywood blockbuster movies. So a real breadth of folks in the audience, and we want to make sure that for those 90 minutes we can not only keep them engaged, but hopefully share some inspirational content with them and even maybe a bit of aspirational challenge as we go through, so that they can walk out having seen some of the exciting things that people like them are doing, as well as get a look into what Autodesk will be delivering in the future technology-wise and where we're thinking about things. So this year, we're taking a very different approach. We're doing something this year at AU Session that we have never done before. And it involves people who are actually doing design, people who are out there changing the world, people who are sometimes affecting the lives of 10 people, 100 people, 1 million people, and maybe even 1 billion people. We're going to bring those people up on stage and allow them to share some of their stories about their perspective on design, the challenges they face as designers, and as I said, hopefully some of the people in the audience will sit back and say, hey, you know, that could be me up there talking about what I'm doing, or I could be doing those kinds of things. Because the fact is, as you well know, design does affect the world. It is hugely significant in our world today. Everything from how we interact in the buildings that we move around through to solving some of the world's grand challenges. We know that. We want to not just talk about Autodesk, we want to get that conversation going with the people who are actually doing design.
Sounds very, very neat. As someone who has attended AU for several years now. I'd say that you guys have done an excellent job, from the immersing DC experience is one that pops out to me, to even at last year's Avatar preview. I look forward to seeing what cool thing that you come up with for this year's session. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining me, virtually as you are, and once again I look forward to this year's keynote.
Thanks, Donnie. Looking forward to seeing you there.